Okay everyone, here's another Sohcahtoa review. So this came off of a worksheet from last week, and hopefully you went through it and got it. But anyways, regardless, we're going to do some Sohcahtoa here. So first let's focus on problems 7 through 9 here. Notice they're talking about angle A. Look to the right there, guys. Follow the yellow. And they want to know, hey, what's the sine, cosine, and tangent of A? Well, what's step one? We mark our angle. We're going to do angle A right here, right? And then let's look at our sides. Well, one would be called the opposite of A. See how it's across from it? Across from it. That's what opposite means, right? Notice the square root of 3 is adjacent to it. It's basically right next to angle A. And finally, 2 is the hypotenuse. So if you agree, you know what opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse means. The only thing you have to do now is put it together with Sohcahtoa. So follow the red. If I'm doing the sine of A, I know sine of A is opposite over hypotenuse. 1 over 2. So I know 7 is I. Follow the blue. If they want cosine of A, well, cosine of A would be the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So that would be square root of 3 over 2. And finally, follow the green. If they want tangent of A, well, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So that would simply be 1 over square root of 3. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, now notice the thing I wanted to do with this video, guys, is show you that the angle matters. So if you look at problems 10 through 12, they're talking about angle B. Angle B, follow the black, over here is in the top right corner of my triangle, right? Well, what does that mean? Well, the 2 is still my hypotenuse. The square root of 3, though, notice how it's across, right? Square root of 3, you see, is my opposite now. And the 1, notice, is right next to it. That's my A. So see how the opposite adjacent switched based upon the angle position, right? But anyways, let's just go through it again. Let's start with yellow. If they want the sine of B, well, B again's up here. What does sine of B mean? It means the opposite over the hypotenuse. Square root of 3 over 2. Okay? Follow the red. If they want cosine of B, well, again, with B up here, what does cosine mean? It means the adjacent over the hypotenuse, which is 1/2. And finally, follow the blue again. The tangent of B, well, what does that mean? Well, tangent means the opposite over the adjacent. Square root of 3 over 1 is square root of 3. So again, pause the video if you need to. Okay, so now let's do a couple simple word problems. Notice here, guys, I have this ladder shown in blue now, leaning up against my building. We know it's 9 meters long, and we're trying to figure out basically how far it is from the bottom of the building. How far is the bottom of the ladder sticking out? Okay, well, follow the green. Did they not give us this angle right here, 55? Isn't X adjacent and the 9 the hypotenuse? Notice we don't know what's over here, how far it's reaching up on the building, in other words, right? All I know is, follow the red, the adjacent side is missing, and I do know the hypotenuse. So just simply ask yourself, what uses adjacent hypotenuse? What uses A and H? And you ought to come up with cosine. So I know the cosine of 55 degrees equals the adjacent over the hypotenuse. In other words, I'm going to do the cosine of 55. I'm going to times by 9, and that's going to give me my answer X, right? So let's do the math on the calculator. The cosine of 55, 0.57357. I'm going to times that by 9, and I know my answer is 5.16. I'm going to round that off to 5.2. So I know X right there has to be 5.2 meters. Our units were meters, right? 5.2 meters from the ladder sticking out 5.2 meters from the base of the building. Pause the video if you need to. Alright, what about this one right here? Well, this time, notice, we're given that this is 20 meters. In other words, this little flagpole wire or whatever that's holding the flagpole up is 20 meters, right, from the base of the flagpole. I want to know how tall the flagpole is, and I know the angle of that wire or whatever is 48 degrees. Okay, so how would I solve this one? Well, does everyone agree, follow the green, that my angle is 48 degrees here and X is opposite? The 20 is my adjacent. I'm missing the hypotenuse over here, so H or hypotenuse is not going to help me, right? So what uses O and A? And you should come up with tangent. So I know the tangent of 48 degrees equals the opposite over the adjacent. So if you look at my math, I'm going to do the tangent of 48. I'm going to times by 20 because that gets rid of divide 20 right there. And I'm going to find my X, right? So let's go to the calculator. Oops, went too far. I did the tangent of 48. That's 1.11. I timesed it by 20. 22.2, rounding it off a little bit. Again, I did the tangent of 48, I times by 20, and I got 22.2. That's how tall the flagpole is. 22.2 meters. The units again are meters. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do Sohcahtoa.